Now I can't. Okay. John, thank you for re-upping your membership. That membership from John actually is an active one, and we can count that towards the stream. That's a $3 of support right there. So now we got everything but a sub. Can we get a sub on Kick, please? Can the viewers on Kick stop being schlubs and actually support? That would be great. Let's get our first sub of the week right now. I'm serious. We already got a membership. We already got tips. We already got super chats. Let's get some support from the people who watch me on Kick every day and get it for free. Let's go. Okay. One other thing, because people keep bringing this up, and I do want to bring it up because it's been talked about all week. So last week, the White House, the presidential branch of our government, or I guess it's called the executive branch of our government, posted up an actual public post on social media stating that it is now official. They've changed the tax code and tips will no longer be taxable in the United States. Meaning if you're someone who receives tips, you're not going to pay tax on them anymore. All right. And you might say, really? Well, what does this include? Well, the White House actually clarified. Seriously, they clarified. They said this includes, waiters and waitresses, bartenders, all these people who get tipped, but they also specifically called out digital content creators. What? Yeah, they called out digital content creators and said if you receive tips, they are not taxable income anymore. Wow. Well, that's a huge change, not paying taxes on tips. Now, here's the thing, and this is the big confusion that's going on right now, okay? It's not that simple. It would be great to say, if you tip a content creator, they don't have to pay tax on it anymore, so that's the preferable way to support, and you should do that because you're going to help out that content creator a lot more, right? Well, with tax code, it's never simple. Like, literally, it's never simple. So, number one, okay, what is a tip? Right now, at this very moment, Lance Catamaran just gifted a sub on Kick. That's our first sub of the week. Thank you, Lance. Is that a tip? If you super chat me right now on YouTube, is that a tip? If you send me a tip via PayPal directly to my PayPal, is that a tip? If you pledge to my Patreon, is that a tip? Here's one thing I can outright tell you is not a tip. If you buy merchandise from my darksidefilled.shop store, there's no way that could ever be considered a tip. That's an actual purchase of a piece of merchandise that you're going to receive. Therefore, that would never be considered a tip, okay? But the question is, out of all the other things, all these ways of getting income, what is actually a tip and what isn't, right? You don't know. Do you know? I don't know. No one knows yet because this is brand new. Never before has there been a tax consideration for tips for digital content creators, right? So here's the thing. If it's every contribution, right, then I guess it doesn't really matter how you contribute. Everything's great. But don't you think that if it's only specific tips, like let's say they say only direct contributions to a creator, you can't go through a third party like YouTube and get something out of it. They could argue and say, well, you see, if you do a super chat on YouTube, there's a message that pops up in the chat and you purchased that as your transaction, that's not a tip. Or if you get a sub on Kick, you purchased a subscription-based service via Kick, that's not a tip. You purchased a subscription, you see? As opposed to, I just want to send someone a tip directly via PayPal. That's considered a tip. That's not taxable. The answer to these questions is no one knows yet. It's going to be up to tax professionals, accountants. All these people are going to have to dig into the new law and actually figure out how to figure this out. Okay? No one knows yet. No one actually knows what's considered a tip. Lance Catamaran, thank you for the first sub of the week. Let's get you on the leaderboard. Now, another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about because they didn't actually read the law. The law is written in a really weird way that is very confusing. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that, by the way, I was just gifted, I believe, 5 subs by Extra Bondage. Thank you so much to Extra Bondage for 5 gifted subs over on Kick. Let me get that on the leaderboard. So what's confusing about the law? The law says things such as this. As of next year, payment processors such as PayPal will not be required to provide tax documentation to anyone who receives tips or funds under $20,000 or under 200 transactions. Okay? So I want you to think about that. $20,000 and 200 transactions. Well, if you're someone who makes a living based on tips, what if you're a waiter? What if you're a bartender, right? Anyone who gets a tip regularly, right? Basically, you do how many, transactions a day? Let's say you're a waiter and you wait tables. Probably during one shift, let's say you work a 6-hour shift, right? You're probably going to have 10 to 20 customers during that shift. Each customer will leave you a tip. So that's 10 to 20 transactions in one day. So now you work for a living. Literally within a month, you're going to have probably hundreds to thousands of tips. If the law is saying, oh, it's only exempt up to 200 transactions, what? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Anyone who actually makes a living off of tips, that means that they wouldn't be eligible for the tax exemption. Does that make any sense? What about the $20,000? Okay. So $20,000 supposedly is this threshold, right? Can you make a living only making $20,000 a year? No, not in the United States. So if you make more than 20 grand, you're not exempt from taxes? You see what I'm saying? It's completely confusing. No one understands the law yet. And what's going to happen is actual tax professionals will have to mess around with it to figure this out. What is exempt? What isn't exempt? Here's what I'm thinking, and I could be wrong because I'm not a tax professional, all right? Here's what I'm thinking. The law is only going to apply probably for around $20,000, and then it cuts off. Meaning, if you get tips, $20K will not be taxed by the U.S. government. Anything over $20K will still be taxed by the U.S. government, okay? Transactions. This is bizarre to me. I don't see how there could be a transactional limit because someone can literally receive $201 tips or someone can get $200,000 tips. The number of transactions should make no sense at all. 0. It shouldn't affect it at all because you don't know the amount. I think it should be a dollar threshold. And I think ultimately that's what's going to end up being. It's going to end up being some kind of a dollar amount. So ultimately, does this mean that people make a living on tips are now not going to have to pay taxes at all? No, I don't think so. I think what's happening is the U.S. government is going to give people who get taxes a break. Okay? You'll have to pay less taxes. It doesn't mean that you're going to pay no taxes. All right? So ultimately, someone who's a full-time creator, sure, they may push you towards, hey, please tip me. But ultimately, once they hit that $20K of income, it doesn't matter how you contribute. Otherwise, the taxes are all going to be the same again. So ultimately, in a year, it's not going to be a big deal. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, just tip me. Don't contribute any other way. I'm not going to say that. That's stupid. Because at one point, you're going to hit the threshold. It's not going to matter anymore. There you go. Now, the way I see it, I really feel like it's going to have to be analyzed and looked at before we know. So, no, I'm not going to say to you guys, hey, just tip me now because I don't have to pay taxes on it. That'd be incredibly stupid. In fact, you're not going to hear me mention this at all. What I'm going to say next year, when I go to start filing my taxes, obviously I'm going to have to talk to my tax guy and be like, listen, a big chunk of what I get is considered tips. Not super chats, not subscriptions, not memberships, but actual just direct tips. Is that what we're talking about? Do I need to break these out for you? Do I have to actually show you the transactions? Because I mean, I could pull up my PayPal account balance and stuff and send it to my tax guy, but I don't know how this is going to work. And if it's 200 transactions, it's absolutely stupid. Like, no lie, within like a week, I probably get 200 transactions. So it's really not going to help me at all. So I guess we'll see. But I think people keep bringing it up in my chat. They keep saying, "Oh, how's this going to affect you? Did you hear about the good news?" I'm like, no one knows anything right now. No one understands it. This happens every time that they change the tax code. Everyone scratches their head like if it's going to benefit them or not. Like originally, when Trump first became president back in what was it, 2016? A lot of people thought that the taxes were actually going to get worse, but for me they got better. I don't know why, but taxes actually got better. I was under the impression, all the media was saying, "Oh, your taxes are going to get so much worse because of Trump and all this." And then he made the tax change and my taxes got better. Now, I'm not rich. It's not like I'm a billionaire. But everything you hear is, "Oh, well, because the tax code changed, only billionaires are affected and they get big bonuses." Well, my taxes went down. So what are you talking about? A lot of the times what you hear is just blatant misinformation because of political bullshit reasons. It's very hard as an American citizen to even know what the hell's going on because half the time when you try to get actual news or facts, you're getting political spin with the news and facts, so you don't know what to believe. So for me, the way I see it, any benefit to taxes is good, right? Any discount you're going to get, anything you don't have to pay is a great change. But first of all, does it affect right now or does it only affect next year? I'm under the impression that it only affects next year, not now, because you can't retroactively apply a law. So if the law goes into effect now, it's going to affect 2026 taxes, not 2025. So I won't even see a benefit for this for a couple of years. You see? So everyone freaking out. No reason to freak out about this topic. We don't know enough about it yet to really make any kind of a determination. Okay? Okay, cool.